What's good? Welcome back, everybody. It's time for Snug Wrestling. I am Edgar. I'm the host. We are doing NXT review. NXT is getting ready for Vengeance this weekend. And because it is, a few days before Vengeance, we're going to review NXT from this week and also do some predictions for this weekend with my co host for the day, our NXT expert, Mr. Tommy himself. What's up, bro? Welcome. How you feeling? How's everything?
Feeling good. Just got back from hanging with a couple of friends. I was still able to watch the show, so had a fun time there. Played on the Nintendo Wii, in which I have not played in years. So had a lot of fun with that and ready to go through the show.
Damn, the Wii, huh?
Oh
Taking
yeah,
it way back.
I have
I,
not played on that system since I was in high school, like 5 years ago.
yeah, I had a Wii back in the day. I think like when it first came out. I don't remember how long or what year that was. And I remember playing one game for like a couple months, and then that was it. I never played anything again. It was Metroid. I was a big Metroid fan growing up. Did you ever play that one?
Oh yeah, so you're a Samus guy.
Yes. Yeah. Even though it was a girl, right?
Yeah, like everybody thought, oh, it has to be a guy underneath the mask. Like, nope, ended up being a girl the whole time.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the big reveals from like one of the earlier games from like Game Boy back in the day. Um that was like what the fuck? That was a trip, bro. Good times, man. How'd you feel about the NXT this week, Tommy? Overall.
It had its ups, it's had its downs. I hate the fact that we had to see the Vanity Project throughout this show, like quite a few times. But
Hmm.
overall, I actually think that was a decent show.
Yeah, man. Chaotic as always because it's NXT. They got to do the crazy, wild, bouncing off the wall stuff. But I think I think it's safe to say 2 weeks back to back of very interesting NXTs. Last week's episode of NXT was pretty good. And this one was pretty cool too, man. We even got a surprise return of a former WWE main event star, in Shayna Baszler, which we'll go over later on. Um, and because they're setting up for Vengeance, so a lot of these angles are getting hotter and hotter, which was cool. But with that being said, Tommy, you ready to get into it?
Yep, let's get into it.
All right, we start off the show with the new North American champion, Miles Bourne, looking like $1 million, looking really swanky, and his outfit looking like a champion, right? He comes out, he cuts the promo, the babyface promo, putting himself over. He finally did it. He has the original North American Championship belt. It's no longer the red, white Canadian colors. So that was cool to see. But he gets interrupted by Ethan Page shortly after. Okay, well, I wasn't expecting Ethan Page to come out this soon, right off the gate. He just lost it last week, but here he comes, Ethan Page. He gets in the face of Miles Bourne and he wants his rematch. And I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, rematch clause, right? Even though they don't always do it all the time. But yeah, Ethan Page, he's like, if someone deserves a rematch, it's me. I was champion for over 200 days. I had the best run, best North American champion.
Yeah, I looked it up, and him and Obafemi are tied for the longest reign.
Really, like
Yeah.
to the T, like to
Oh yeah,
the
like
exact days.
to the day. Like when it comes to number of days, they're tied with the longest reign for the North American title.
Ah, that kind of annoys me. Why would they do that?
I have no clue, but then again, one of them, that being Obafemi, was an absolute beast with that North American title, and look how he's been up on the main roster right now.
Yeah, I wonder if they did that on purpose because what a real life habit. Because they want to keep Obafemi strong in that way, I guess. I don't know, but that's very interesting how they just happen to have the same exact days. That's can't be a coincidence, right?
I think it's like 270 something
Hmm.
is what they both have.
Damn, okay. Well, even more reason that Ethan Page should get a rematch. And I was thinking, okay, yeah, they'll do it. They'll do it at Vengeance. It's this weekend. Yeah, I'd be down to see that Ethan Page versus Miles Bourne at Vengeance. Do it, right? And no, they're like, let's do it right now. Get a referee. Let's handle this right now. And I'm like, what? Both of these guys are in really fancy suits. Like, they're not in wrestling gear. This is just the opening segment. They're just going to do it right here, right now. Okay, they did. We started off with the North American Championship rematch. Before we get into the match, Tommy, what did you think about how they did this whole thing?
I honestly liked it, especially with the fact that Miles Bourne started it off saying, hey, normally new champions come out here and come out with their sob story and all of that. That ain't going to be me. That's not how I'm doing it. And then that is when Ethan Page came out. Surprise, surprise to literally no one. He instantly starts complaining. But still, honestly, I like how it went out because it truly showed, hey, Miles Bourne is not afraid for just a random, hey, look, I'm in a suit, but I don't give a fuck. I will gladly defend my title right now. Like, that's how he is. He's a fighting champion, and he definitely proved that at the beginning of this.
Yeah, and Ethan Page too. I thought this was kind of out of character for him because he usually the heel is the one that's avoiding confrontation and avoiding conflict and matches, right? But Ethan Page was like, this is how desperate he was to get that championship back. He's like, I'm not wasting any time. I don't care if I'm not dressed to wrestle. I want my rematch now. And they did, man. They got it on. And this was entertaining because not only, Ethan Page can have a good match with just about anybody, Miles Bourne is also really good. But because they were in like fancy suits or whatever, they ended up like ripping each other's clothes off. Pause. I know what you guys are thinking. Ethan Page ended up in his underwear. Pause.
I mean,
No,
that's
I'm kidding.
literally what happened. That's not really much of a pause. That is literally what happened.
And at first, it was like kind of funny seeing like Ethan Page getting his pants ripped off. And I'm like, oh, Ethan Page is in his underwear. But then later I realized I'm like, well, that's usually how they all wrestle all the time anyway. So I'm like, whatever. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
they're
But,
usually over here wrestling in Speedos all the time anyways.
well, not Speedos, but trunks, that kind of resemble underwear or tidy whiteys or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call them Speedos, but yeah. Um, But now this match was entertaining. There was a lot of shenanigans here. Miles Bourne had to kind of cheat the babyface to retain here because it just shows how desperate these two guys are. Um, Miles Bourne accidentally ended up taking off one of Ethan Page's shoes behind the referee's back, hit Ethan Page over the head, and that's basically what led to Miles Bourne retaining the North American Championship. But I thought it was a great way to kick off NXT.
I did too. It was a pretty decent match, especially one that was just like off the cuff. Hey, we're still in suits. We're not in wrestling gear, but we're still doing this anyways. In fact, Stone tried to say, hey, we'll still do it. We'll just do it later on in the night. That way y'all can get into your trunks and all of that. They both said no to that. So that really does show how big Ethan Page is when it comes to going after this title and getting it back as soon as possible. And when it comes to Miles Bourne and defending it. But what I find interesting is I'm not sure if we're going to go through it, but a backstage segment from later on in the show of Ethan Page with Ricky Sainz back there and the fucking Vanity Project.
Yeah.
Like Ethan was like not even Ricky Sainz was trying to hype Ethan up, going, "Hey, you are still one of the longest reigning champions. You're still the greatest champion of all time." All of that, the classic,
Yeah.
"Hey, look, I'm a heel. I'm the greatest ever" thing. But still, like, yes, you lost, but look at how far you've come right now. At this point, after this loss, I'm like, yeah, sure, he lost a random title match. But at the same time, he lost the title match. Pull this man up to the main roster. He does not need NXT anymore. He's basically done all that needs to be done, including winning the NXT title back when it was the fucking Rainbow title. So, please pull this man up to the main roster. He seriously deserves to be up there by now. He should have been there like 3 months ago.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because I completely forgot about that. But that is something really important that, I was thinking too. Like, yeah, I would love to see Ethan Page be in the main roster, but that did not even cross my mind during this segment. What crossed my mind is, I don't know if you noticed this, but in that backstage segment, Ricky States was kind of like trying to keep Ethan Page in his way in that North American title scene, while Ricky States was telling Ethan, "Oh, I'm going to become NXT champion again. You don't worry, you will get back your North American championship. Whatever happens, whatever goes around comes around. You'll be okay. But I'm going to go and become the NXT champion." Meanwhile, Ethan Page was kind of making this face like he was kind of thinking to himself like, maybe I should go for the NXT championship now myself. There's a feeling that I was getting from this. So, I mean, maybe we'll see Ricky Saints and Ethan Page cross paths in that NXT title picture. Would you be down to see that? I would.
I would, but then again, there's also that title match this Saturday. So maybe we at least see Ethan Page's face. Maybe he tries to help out Ricky Saints, but it ends up going wrong. Maybe that's what happens there.
Maybe. Because, yeah, I mean, we'll get into the predictions later on, but I think this is only the beginning of Joe Hendry's NXT Championship title reign. I don't really see him losing it to Ricky Saints this weekend, but we'll get there when we get there, right? Up next, we had Jada Parker and Blake Monroe face to face in a somewhat heated promo battle between these two girls. I felt like these two girls, they pretty much said the same thing. Blake Monroe came out here and was like, "Oh, I know why Jada Parker is coming after me. I know why she attacked me. It's because Jada Parker needs me. These women need me. They want to come after me because I make them look good. I put them over. They're basically trying to make a name out of themselves through me. Jada needs me." And then Jada Parker comes out and she was like, "Nah, I don't need you. You need me because without the glamour, without the lights, without all of this, you ain't shit. You just a B word, blah, blah, blah." And then they got into a fight because these two women are going to face each other at Vengeance also. This isn't the first that we see from Jada Parker and Blake Monroe. We see them later on in the show where Blake Monroe comes out wearing all black, looking really different. And she challenges Jada Parker to a street fight, which Blake Monroe is she's pretty familiar when it comes to these street matches.
She is no stranger to the street fight.
Thank you. I completely blanked there. Yeah, she is no stranger to these street fights. So, yeah, man, this is going to be good. It's going to be interesting, man. Jada Parker versus Blake Monroe. Tommy, how are you feeling this segment?
I think Jada Parker's telling the truth here. I really do. Especially with the point that she says where Blake Monroe is scared of just blending into the background and just being a background character. She has to be the main spot. That's what Blake Monroe is. She's the main attraction. When in reality, she is truly terrified of just blending in and being one of the background girls. And this match, with it being a street fight, yeah, sure, Blake Monroe is no stranger to them. But at the same time, Jada Parker isn't either. So, super, super excited for this because Jada Parker, when she is given the opportunity to, she is absolutely ruthless. And I absolutely love that about her. I cannot wait to fully see what in the world she can do to Blake Monroe and vice versa and how that match is going to go. I have a feeling like there may be color involved since it's Blake Monroe. Come on. But still, I would not be surprised if there is color somewhere in that street fight simply because of how brutal both of these women are going to end up being.
All right, then we had Ren Sinclair versus Nikita Lyons in a women's speed match. Any thoughts on this, Tommy? Because I didn't.
It was obvious that Ren Sinclair was winning. Nikita Lyons is too busy down in Evolve, so there was no possible way that she was moving on in this tournament. There just wasn't.
All right, and then we saw a video package for Kaylani Jordan. She's going to be facing Lola Vice at Vengeance in one of those, what are they called? Those underground street matches or whatever that they do.
Yeah, they just call it the underground match.
The underground match. And Kaylani Jordan went out to get advice and train with Shayna Baszler, who we haven't seen on WWE TV since she was released sometime last year, like around this time, I believe. And then I'm sure, I think we've seen Shayna Baszler do like a couple things on like GCW and other like independent promotions. And then out of nowhere, she shows up on NXT. Oh shit, she's back on WWE TV. So I thought that's cool. That's cool to see Shayna Baszler back again. I wonder if this was just a one-off, or is Shayna Baszler working more with, NXT talent? But I haven't heard anything about Shayna Baszler since this little video package, but I thought it makes perfect sense. Kaylani Jordan trying to prepare for her underground match. Who better than Shayna Baszler, to train for these types of matches? I thought this was cool.
Yeah, and it's not just because it's Shayna Baszler. Shayna says in that video package why Kalani Jordan went to her specifically. She has been in the underground with Lola Vice before. That is why Kalani Jordan specifically went to Shayna Baszler for it. Although Kalani did undergo quite a bit. There were quite a few things that Shayna Baszler said where Kalani's like, no, there's no way. Like, come on. Like, for example, Shayna said that in the underground, Lola Vice is everything she says she is and more. That is how good Lola Vice is in the underground because of how big she is and how strong her strikes actually are. So it's no wonder that Kalani went to Shayna Baszler. But Kalani, as Shayna did say, Kalani needs to think differently on this. Her gymnastics way is not going to work in the underground, let alone against Lola Vice in the underground.
And then we go to your boys. This is the 6-man tag match with the Vanity Project, right? Versus Shiloh Hill and Hank and Tank. 6-man tag, right? A whole bunch of people with a team that I cannot stand in the Vanity Project. But I'm starting to understand I think, what the point of the Vanity Project is. And I think it's to make us like their main guy even more, which is, what's his name? He's the Evolve champion.
I love the fact that they're trying to make us like him, but we can't even remember what the hell his name is.
It's like Drake something, isn't it?
I believe so. It's like Jackson Drake or something like that.
I think so. I think it is Jackson Drake. Anyway, because he's the one that stands out of this whole fucking group, you know. And he looks a lot better than the other two, and he moves a lot better than the other two. So, because he stood out to me the most in this whole thing. And I actually wanted to see more of him and not the other two guys from fucking Vanity Project, right? But yeah, Hank and Tank, they're entertaining. They had a jump start. So before the match even fucking started, there were these two teams were beating each other up. Because it's NXT, right? So everything they do has to be crazy. Security rushes in, and I'm just like, can we just get the match started already? And then the fans are like, let them fight. And I'm like, that's the whole point of having the wrestling matches, so these guys can fight. Like, so these people don't want to see a match. They just want to see pull aparts. And I'm like, no, this pull apart took forever. I'm like, can we just be done with this pull apart so we can get the actual match started? Finally, we get the match started. They go back and forth. They do a bunch of crazy spots because there's a whole bunch of people in this match, and everyone has to, look good and get their shit in. And then finally, we get Shiloh Hill pin the Evolve champion Jackson Drake. So I think that's also going to lead to something at Evolve, or something like that, right? But yeah, this match was fucking crazy from the jump, right?
Here's what makes it interesting. Jackson Drake is defending that title on Evolve this week.
It's tonight, isn't it? Don't they do on Wednesdays?
Yeah. Yeah, it's tonight. So, super, super happy for good old Shiloh Hill. Him being able to get that pin, it's going to push him even more than what he's already been doing. So, super, super excited for that and happy with that. But why in the world, if you're trying to show off Jackson Drake, you can do that. But I hate one of the decisions they decided to do last week, which is give the fucking Vanity Project the tag titles.
All right, well, we went over that already, Tommy.
Yeah, we went over that. I still hate the fact that they're on it. I despise it. But still, this match, honestly, great. 6-man tag, awesome. Hank and Tank, entertaining as all hell. Same with Shiloh Hill. I just despise the fucking Vanity Project. They basically have a habit of ruining almost any match that they're in. But this one, they did not do that. This one, I actually loved.
We also saw Keanu Carver during this match. Keanu Carver randomly comes out in the middle of this match to talk shit to poor Booker T, man. What the hell? Why is Keanu Carver always trying to punk Booker T?
What the hell did he even say?
He went out there. Did you not see this? Did you miss this part?
No, I think I might have missed it, but
so
I know what Keanu Carver said. But what did Booker T cause him to say to cause him?
Nothing. Keanu Carver just comes out and he confronts Booker T. He stands over him at the announce table during this match while this match is happening. And he's like, tell your boy, keep my name out of his mouth. And then he walks away and I'm like, what the hell? What boy?
And it wasn't until said his name.
Well, no, he's talking about Jasper Troy.
Oh.
Yeah. Jasper Troy at some video package was like something, everyone's talking about Keanu Carver. He's not, or something like that. So they're going to start building up something between Keanu Carver and Jasper Troy.
Oh, yeah. There was that backstage segment. That's what it is. Where it's leading up to apparently a triple threat for next week, but that hasn't been quite confirmed.
Oh, another one. Great. All right. We got another angle for another match at Vengeance. Tony D'Angelo and Dion Lennox. Seems like Tony D'Angelo took out one of the Dark State fellows backstage before this segment. So Dion Lennox is hot. And they had a promo segment where Dion Lennox basically says he's going to take out Tony D'Angelo. I mean, the promo for Dion Lennox wasn't anything groundbreaking that I can remember. It was just like, hey, you've been messing with us, so I've taken you out before and I'm going to do it again type thing, right? Tony D'Angelo, however, he's the one that he has two reasons why he came back. One of them is to take out the Dark State. He's been doing that. After he's done with Dion Lennox, we're going to find out what the second reason is going to be. But what did you think about this segment between Tony D'Angelo and Dion Lennox to hype up their match?
I found it very interesting, and it definitely got me super, super hyped for this Saturday for these two, especially on Tony D'Angelo's side of things. Because Dion didn't really do much. It's more of, hey, look, I'm going to keep saying shit I've already said in the past, this, that, and the other thing. But for Tony D'Angelo, yes, he brought up those two reasons, one of them being to take out Dark State, but at the same time, with how slow he said everything, it put more emphasis on everything that he's saying. And that is what I loved about it, is the fact that even with as slow as he's saying everything, yes, he's speaking very slowly, but at the same time, it's putting more hype on that match just by saying it the way he's saying it. He knows how to cut a promo. He knows how to make it good, and he knows how to make it important to hype something up. And that is what I loved about this, is the fact that he was able to do that with ease just by the way he said things.
Then we had a women's NXT championship match, JC Jane versus Zarya. And of course, because of what happened last week, I think we all expected Sol Ruka to come out, right? So this whole time, I was waiting for Sol Ruka to come out. However, I'm glad Zarya finally pulled the trigger on turning on Sol Ruka, because now I feel like now we're going to see the version of Zarya that we should have been seeing a long time ago, which is vicious, which is, I don't give a fuck. Like I'm all about me, and a real powerhouse, because she looks intimidating. Zarya, she looks like a badass, but when she was with Sol Ruka, man, I felt like they were doing all of this like emotional jealousy stuff, and I'm just like, man, this just does not look good on Zarya. But now Zarya's a heel. Now she's cool. Now she's a badass, and I'm so excited to see more of that from Zarya, right? So I thought, okay, that's cool. This is a new version of Zarya. I'm excited for this. And she has a match with JC Jane, and I knew that Sol Ruka was going to come out, but I didn't know when. I didn't know how. But it took a while. Sol Ruka finally comes out, and she hits her shitty finisher, the Soul Snatcher, on both of these women, on both Zarya and the champion JC Jane. They try to protect it with a cool angle, a cool camera angle, but you're not fooling me. That shit was terrible. But yeah, man, the match got called off. No contest, DQ, whatever. I don't think there's an actual winner here because she hit both of them with it, and that was it. End of story here, or end of the match. What do you think the point of this was, Tommy? What do you think they're gonna lead this to, a fucking triple threat match or something again?
Yeah, I think that's exactly where they're leading to. Knowing the fact that last week, Sol had an opportunity at the NXT title. She lost. Zarya basically said, hey, you're not even making it to the first bell. So attack right off the front, which I think is kind of why both JC Jane and Zarya looked towards the ramp and was like, wait, why isn't she here? When is she coming? It's very clear that she's going to come at us. When is she coming? Why is she not out here right now? So with that, they were already off their game, which is why I think Soul let the match happen for a while and then pulled off that double Soul Snatcher. But what I found interesting is outside the ring. After that double Soul Snatcher, she basically mimicked Zarya from last week. Because what she said to Zarya tonight, or last night, she grabbed her by the hair and said, soul snatched, bitch. So it's very clear these two are absolutely going into a feud. And at some point, probably sooner rather than later, we are getting a triple threat for that NXT women's title between Zarya, Sol Ruca, and JC Jane.
All right. And then we move on to the main event segment. It was the absolute experience. Ricky Saints doing the greatest concert of all time. Way better than The Rock. Way better than Joe Hendry. Ricky Saints put on a real classic concert here.
In your dreams, Thunder. In your dreams.
Joe Hendry was so jealous that he had to come out and ruin this great experience for the world to enjoy because Joe Hendry is a hater. And he was disguised as one of the ringside crew members. And basically, he hit poor Ricky Saints over the back with the guitar. What kind of a champion does this? This was uncalled for. This was unnecessary. Poor Ricky Saints. I hope you're doing okay, buddy. He didn't deserve this, Tommy. This was dirty.
I'm sorry, dude. You're wrong. He absolutely did deserve this shit. But that was the worst wrestler concert I have ever seen in my damn life. You're telling me that Ricky Saints' shit tonight was way better than fucking The Rock's on Vicky Guerrero? Come
10 times
on.
better, bro.
No. Like I said, in your dreams, Thunder. Like, come on. This was not. Man can't even sing, for one. And this is coming from the theater kid. So, not happening there. He was all about himself the entire time. So, I hated this entire thing, specifically with Ricky Saints. But I think this is leading to an 8-man tag or something like that. Because of how this show ended. Because it wasn't just Joe Hendry that came out. The entirety of the Vanity Project came out. Hank and Tank came out. I believe Miles Bourne came out as well. So, this could either lead to a 10-man tag or an 8-man tag.
For what, like next week or something?
I'm not sure if it's going to be next week, but it should be soon just to get this shit done and over with.
All right. Well, that was NXT, Tommy. Would you like to do predictions for Vengeance?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. We will get into the NXT Vengeance card here in a bit.
when it decides to load.
All right, so NXT Vengeance is this weekend, March 7th. And it's going to be in the Performance Center. They're doing a PLE there. That's interesting. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches on this card, Tommy. Let's start off with the Tony D'Angelo versus Dion Lennox. This is a singles match, 1-on-1, but something tells me it's not going to go down like that. I mean, you got the Dark State, like, was it 5 of them or 4? I think it's
4. I think it's
4 of them. Yeah, man, I find it hard to believe that this is going to remain a 1-on-1, especially with what Tony D'Angelo has been doing to all of them for the past few weeks. I have a bad feeling that this is going to end badly for Tony D'Angelo. But I would like to see Tony D'Angelo win this, because if he wins, then we get to find out what that second reason is that Tony D'Angelo came back. So what do you think is going to go down in this one?
The biggest difference between Dark State and about half of the damn heel factions up on the main roster is the fact that Dark State has proven that if Dion Lennox says, hey, stay back here, I got this, then they will do exactly that. They will leave it alone. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think it's going to end up being just a regular 1-on-1. And I'm sorry, Dion Lennox, you're out. There ain't no way you are getting past Tony D'Angelo. There's just no way. So I think that Tony D'Angelo will win. And maybe directly after the match, we find out what that second reason is. If we don't find out then, we're definitely finding out next week.
All righty. The street fight, Blake Monroe versus Jada Parker. This one's going to be interesting, Tommy, because as we mentioned previously, Blake Monroe is no stranger to these street fights. So I'm curious to see how different this is going to look, because I didn't see the entire match that Blake Monroe had with Toni Storm in AEW when she was Mariah May, but I saw clips of it, and it was bloody, it was gory, it was a crazy street fight that they had, right? Some people were saying, oh, it was the greatest women's match of all time or whatever, right? Okay. But now she's on NXT. Now she's under the WWE umbrella. Things are a lot different over there. So it's going to be interesting to see how this street fight is going to go now that she's Blake Monroe versus someone like Jada Parker. But what do you think is going to happen here?
I said it before, and I'll say it here as well. I think there's absolutely going to be color here because of how brutal both of these women are. I'm not underestimating Blake Monroe when I say this, but I do not think she's winning. She won her last feud with not Ariana Grace, but it was Jordan Grace is who it was. So she won that one. Yeah. Great. I do not think she is winning against Jada Parker on Saturday at Vengeance Day. I just don't. So I am going with Jada Parker to win this street fight.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Jada Parker is over with those NXT fans like crazy, man. Like, they love her. So it makes sense for Jada Parker to win this one. But I would like to see Blake Monroe go over. I just think Blake Monroe, I just like her character a lot more. I mean, not that I don't like Jada Parker, but Blake Monroe is more over with me, just personally. So I'm going to go with Blake Monroe just to go up against you, you know? All right, Tommy. The NXT Underground match, Kaylani Jordan versus Lola Vice. Now, we saw Kaylani Jordan training with Shayna Baszler, one of the best when it comes to these NXT Underground matches. Lola Vice is not 100%. Lola Vice has been selling that hand that Kaylani Jordan took out a few weeks ago.
Even having an x-ray on this episode of NXT as well.
We saw the backstage segment with the doctor advising Lola Vice, hey, don't do it. Don't do it, girl. It's not looking too good. But of course, Lola Vice said, "Nay, Doc, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to sign off my life away. This is going to be on me. I'm taking all the responsibility off the company, and I'm going to go into this match. And if I get hurt, it's on me." What do you think, Tommy? You got Lola Vice, even though she's not at 100%, or Kaylani Jordan?
Kalani Jordan's too cocky with this. She's underestimating Lola with the fact that she's over here saying, "Oh yeah, like my gymnastics ways will put me through. It will help me win." No, the hell it won't. It's not going to work. Shayna Baszler told you this 1,000 times. Your gymnastic ways are not going to work in the underground. It's just not. So I am going, even though she's not 100%, I am absolutely going with Lola Vice. This is her match. This is her match to win. This is her type of match. So I am absolutely sticking to my guns with Lola Vice, even though she's not 100%.
All righty then. The next match is for the NXT Women's North American Championship. Izzy Dame, the current champion, versus Tatum Paxley. That story's still ongoing, and we completely skipped over this one during the NXT review because this is one of the matches I'm not too thrilled for. Not because we haven't seen, we've seen this match a few times already, right? The matches aren't bad. It's just the way that they've been building up to this NXT championship. I mean, this NXT North American Championship has not been the best build up compared to some of the other matches that they've had before. Like the matches that they've had before, I felt like were more interesting. This one, because I guess the way that it happened, this all leads back to the way that Blake Monroe lost the title to Thea Hale. And then the way that they put the belt on Izzy Dame shortly after that. And then Tatum Paxley came after. It just has not been my favorite thing on the show so far. But who do you got winning this one, Tommy?
These two are tied 1-1. So this is the tiebreaker. This is the third match. And as much as I personally, like you, don't really care much for this match, even though my girl's in it, I'm still going with my girl Tatum. I have to. There is not a piece in me that does not have faith in Tatum Paxley that she will finally take down Izzy and finish this off. You have to remember as well, Izzy's not going to have help. Not this time around. She's completely on her own. The last time they had a match, she had the rest of her little faction with her. Like ringside, all of that. It's the entire reason why Tatum Paxley didn't win there. So I think that Tatum Paxley is winning this one.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 on this, man. I'm 50-50 on it. Because whoever wins this weekend at Vengeance, I don't feel like anything changes. I don't feel like it's gonna make a difference. Because even though Izzy Dame, I'm a much bigger fan of Izzy Dame than Tatum Paxley. Because Izzy Dame has been involved with Tatum Paxley for so long, she hasn't done much of anything with the North American Championship. The people would love to see Tatum Paxley be a champion of any kind because the people love Tatum Paxley. I would like Izzy Dame to retain, move on from Tatum Paxley, and actually have a real title run away from Tatum Paxley. That's what I'm hoping for. So I'm going to go with Izzy Dame to win this one. But we shall see. And then, which I'm pretty sure is going to be the main event of Vengeance this weekend. Joe Hendry versus Ricky Saints. As much as I love Ricky Saints, As much as I wish he was champion, like we said before, Joe Hendry, he just won it after a long time of being on NXT. Joe Hendry finally won the NXT championship. I don't see Joe Hendry losing this weekend, but we are going to have one hell of a match. These two are going to have a really, really good match. And the way that Joe Hendry is going to win to kind of protect Ricky Saints in the process, I think this is going to be the second reason why Tony D'Angelo came back. I mean, it has to be for championship gold, right? What else is there for Tony D'Angelo? I mean, I wasn't really watching NXT back then, so I might be missing something, but if I'm Tony D'Angelo, the second reason has to be the NXT championship at this point.
I would not mind that. So, here's my full-on prediction here. Ricky Saints, you're a great wrestler. Do not get me wrong. You were fantastic when you were champion. You elevated that NXT title perfectly. You're not getting it. You're really not. Joe Hendry had been working his ass off since he was in TNA at the beginning of this partnership with WWE just to get a title in NXT. So I am absolutely going with Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. And I would not mind if that's what we find out on Saturday as well. If that is the second reason why he's back. But the last title he held, other than the Heritage Cup, which has not been a thing for a while at all. We have not seen that thing in a hot minute. But the last title he held was the North American title, if I remember correctly. So he's going after gold no matter what, whether it's North American or whether it's the NXT title.
Fair enough. Well, that was the prediction for Vengeance with the Snug Wrestling Crew and also the NXT review. Tommy, are you hyped for this weekend? Are you ready for Vengeance?
Oh, I am absolutely ready for Vengeance Day. It's going to be a good show.
And I'm pretty sure we will be reviewing Vengeance after it goes off air, right, Tommy?
Oh, yeah, we will absolutely we will absolutely be reviewing Vengeance Day right after the show.
Well, right on. Until next time, we'll be back in a couple of days for, man, we got a lot of content coming out this week. The one-on-one with myself and Mr. Blood is coming out tomorrow. Then Friday Night SmackDown. Then Vengeance. So, yeah, thanks for everyone that hung out with us today. If you're new, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe, follow, leave the star ratings, leave the reviews, and all that good stuff. Once again, I'm Edgar. I'm the host. And Tommy, our NXT expert. Tommy, let's get up out of here, bro.
All right, so as he stated, we've got tomorrow with his little one-on-one with Mr. Blood, where he goes through current and relevant wrestling topics and answers your fan questions as well. We've got Friday Night SmackDown and Monday Night Raw directly after those as well. We've got Vengeance Day this Saturday. Tune in for that. So, get your merch. That will be on tpublic.com/snug_wrestling. That is TEE public.com/snug_wrestling. Go get your merch. We've got shirts, hats, shorts, pants, socks, fuck ton of shit. So go and get that. So that was 4 letters, 1 word. Yeet.